One of the very important things that impacts on our life, the way we see things, is one's own self-esteem. Now, many people are not too sure what is self-esteem, right? From my understanding and from my little research that I've done, self-esteem is a recognition of your uniqueness. That the other person is not necessarily better than you, but is different from you in terms of the self-esteem. Now, many people think your self-esteem is measured by, inverted commas, by your material success, by your dashing good looks or your beauty or the car you drive. In fact, my opinion is that even a person sweeping the streets can have a higher self-esteem than even the king. It's not about challenges you face, it's about how you look at yourself. Now, are there benefits of positive self-esteem? Now, people often think, well, you know what? Arrogant people, do they have a high self-esteem? No, they have a low self-esteem. You cannot have too much of self-esteem also. It's not about waxing lyrical about you in a narcissistic way. Oh my gosh, oh, Don, how's it? You know, I'm the person. It's not about that. It's recognizing, ironically, if you've got high self-esteem, that you have strengths and you have concerns. That you've got positive self-esteem, you recognize your own uniqueness. You recognize possibilities. You are a decision maker. You're not a warrior. You are not a spectator in your life. You understand? You take ownership of your life. You look at challenges and you want to deal with challenges. You do not have a victim mentality. Many people have victim mentality. Blame everyone for their own situation. Now, on the other hand, people with low self-esteem, they do not embrace change. They'll find all the creative reasons why we should not change. They are people that are insecure. When they look at you, it's often with suspicion. If you're married, your husband or wife tells you, darling, I love you, my shushubablina. So why is he saying this? Right? You begin to ask those other questions. You feel unloved, unlovable. And amongst the other things, and I just mentioned the last point, you have a very pessimistic view of life. And also very fatalistic. A person with high self-esteem is optimistic. Right? He knows there are going to be challenges. Now, what needs to be done? And importantly, something I want to share with you, nobody, but nobody can make you feel small without your permission. How small you feel is left to you. No one can diminish you. And I also came across something else, and it was for me quite instructive, that happiness is self-inflicted and not created by others. Now, how is it related to this? Because a person with low self-esteem requires constant reassurance, constant nurturing. You cannot stand on your own. People need to explain to you, no, we do not mean it this way. Why are you interpreting in that particular way? And I think we need to understand that. Now, as an individual, how can you develop your self-esteem? Yes, it's easier to develop self-esteem of children. There are 10 things I can tell you now. But what about yourself? I think you need to ask yourself, why is it I feel a certain way? What are some of the experiences that I had? How do I need to deal with it? And you need to deal with it and challenge it. And you can improve your self-esteem. You must begin to realize, Alhamdulillah, I'm a unique being, that no one can see things through my eyes as such. No one can feel with my hands. You understand? And these are important things. And you're also going to see from the perspective of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are here to serve a purpose. What is my purpose in my life? What do I need to do differently? What do I need to do to enhance my self-esteem? Who do I need to talk to? And there are many people that can help you. But please, never ever allow anyone to diminish you. If you come from a diminished past, it's important for you to empower yourself. It's important for you to look at yourself in a far more positive way. It's a difficult path, a painful path, a spiritual path, but a path that has many, many benefits. And I can assure you, once you go through the journey, once you reach the destination and you continue to go in the destination, I promise you, you'll see the world with different eyes. Not eyes that have been tainted negatively by the past, but eyes that give you hope. Eyes that see love around you instead of hatred and suspicion. Yeah.
I'm just curious about some specific techniques to empower yourself.
Okay. For me, one of the most powerful techniques is reading avidly. Reading books by motivational speakers, by psychologists, and also understanding the Islamic perspective of who you are as an individual in the eyes of Allah. Right? It's very important, right? The other thing that you need to do is also to engage yourself with positive people. Not because you're going to live in a fool's paradise, people that are more affirming, right? But the important thing is you need to be also self-affirming. You need to also recognize your own intrinsic goodness, right? Now, what happens when kids grow up in a home where the self-esteem has been diminished, and at school the similar thing is done? What happens, a negative self-talk of the parents leads to a negative self-talk within them. They begin to believe it. It's almost like a prophet of doom. Yes, my mom and dad told me this. Now, I'll give you one example. There was a person in South Africa who was involved with drugs. And people were surprised in the community that his life transformed and changed. You asked him, how did it happen? He said, well, when I was in the drug rehab center, or I'm not too sure whether he was in jail, he said, I could remember the words of my mummy saying to me, someday I'm going to be a good boy. Someday I'm going to be a good boy. I had opportunity of reflecting on it, and I began to believe in it. Because children become the attributes you give them. That's important, right? So you need to self-affirm yourself. You need to ask yourself, for example, the fact that you came today, right, is a very positive thing. Right? And you need to go for these kinds of functions. You need to engage with each other. And someone needs to do a kind of analysis, asking you, about your childhood experiences. What was it? Your school who were your friends? What are your attitude? What are your values? And such a person, inshallah, will be able to help you. But in the end, you are unique. There's no other person. Many of my friends are very happy. There'll never be another Edris Khamissa. They are relieved,
I think often what is useful is that when you start at the point you're aware that there's some change required.
Okay.
I mean, that's critical. Just to acknowledge, most people live their life never even getting there. I've always found over the years is when you react to something that's happened, whatever it is. You could be watching a film and it makes you really angry, for example. Is to say, okay, why did that make me so angry?
Right.
And you might not get the answer straight away, but you just connect to a point. There's something happened there that really got me fired up, got me really angry. Yeah. And it could be in a social relationship with somebody that something makes you feel disdain for another person. So therefore, once you recognize that in yourself, then you recognize maybe when it happens in another place. Yeah. So you may not get your answer straight away, but if you make connections to recognize how you are reacting to things, and then the next point to do is once you see there's some connections, is to say, okay, is this thing helpful or is it not helpful? Because the thing might be good for you, that reaction. It might not be a negative thing. So if you're finding actually this thing is actually not helping me very much, then you say, okay, how can I shift that thing? What is it that I can do to not feel angry about that?
In fact, I want to add to this. If someone walks in here now, and let us say 3 people despise a person with a passion, without you knowing it, you'll change your body language, right? And so let us say, for example, a particular individual, when you see that person get mad, right? That's your stimuli, right? Your stimuli now will inform your attitude. Your attitude with your values informs your behavior. Then you say to yourself, I want to rewire myself. Because really, there's no reason for me to despise him the way I do, right? At this time round, I'm going to smile at him. I'm going to engage him. And I'll give you one example. It happened to me. When I was a teacher of English in a school, and I went to a class to do what you call batting or relief teaching. And the class, I wish they knew of 2 or 3 days, they said to me, Ms. Khamissa, would you like to do this book, Our Teacher's Absence? I said, what is it? They said, Great Expectations. So I mean, I've studied that book, so I gave them a background, whatnot. Immediately they went to the office. They told the principal, we want Mr. Khamissa to be the teacher. And I wasn't qualified, right? I didn't ask them to do that. And that was the beginning of that relationship with this headmaster and this this potential head of department. They began to become very uncomfortable with me. and to a point in which really they tried to make my life very difficult. And and I used to even hike to the school, 30 kilometers away, and at the early days carrying my books, and I had a passion for English, the subject. So, and I went home and I'm staying alone in the flat, and I'm crying like a baby, man. I'm crying. I said, because of my innocence, you think the whole world is innocent. You know what I'm saying to you? Because a lot of people have hustled and all those things we speak about. So I went, one of my friends told me, and Allah bless him, he said to me, you are suffering for someone else's inadequacy. He told me that. That time, it was difficult for me. It wasn't so palatable because I was in pain, right? Yeah. But it made a lot of sense. But something else a friend of mine shared with me is, to me, it's really changed my whole attitude. Because I was thinking now, tomorrow when I get to see him, I'll no more be speaking to him on first names. I'll call him, I'll formalize Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so. So in other words, I'll be allowing him to affect me. So my friend showed me this article. It's a very small article, and Allah's blessing, I saw it again some years later. The article read like this, that this particular individual used to go to the shop every day, and he was very polite. You tell the person, good morning, sir. May I have the newspaper, please? Thank you. And his friend accompanied him for a few days. He said to him, why did you go to the shop? You are so polite to him. He's so sullen. He doesn't even greet you back. His response was very instructive. He said, that man mustn't tell me how I should behave towards him. I look at that. It was very powerful. The next day when I went to the school, right, and I was smiling at him. I was my normal self, and I think that put him off completely. Right? So we allow other people to affect us. You know, and that's a big thing. Big thing. I jokingly say sometimes, you know, imagine you're walking with your wife as an example, right? Or your husband, and one of them tells you, darling, let's walk the other side. I said, why? I said, okay, darling, I'll walk on the other side. Why? I said, didn't you see our neighbor? We don't talk to her. I don't talk to her. You know what I'm saying to you? We allow other people to affect us. You know, it doesn't mean if someone says, I changed because of you. No, no. You can be a decent, polite self. But you know where to draw a line. For example, if someone stabs you in your back, a dear friend of yours, or lies about you, right? I will still be civil with him, but I will not be close to him anymore. You can come home and eat and sleep. It's okay. But forget me getting involved with you in any project or activity. It's finished. It's over. That's my reality. And I do it. And I do it. It makes a huge difference the way people relate to you, you know. And you can be angry by saying to someone, I'm angry. Yeah. I'm angry. Or you can say, I'm angry, man. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah. It's about how you deal with it. And it's about, you know, measuring your words. It's about you being direct, right, without wanting to be confrontational. But the person will know exactly where you stand. So what I'm saying to you, that you can change it. Yeah. You can change it, right? And inshallah you'll do that, all right? Sure. Okay. Okay.
It's part of self-esteem, or helping yourself have better, higher health, self-esteem by like working on a project that you'll know you'll succeed in and you'll get quick results. And I'm wondering, because there's so many kind of voluntary projects that people can get involved in, and you know, or even in their own career, that they can really kind of submerge themselves, and you know, that could be their life. But they do see success, and that helps them raise their self-esteem. But while doing so, they neglect their family life, because sometimes improving your family life is so much more difficult, and you don't see success as quickly as you could in other areas. So I'm wondering, kind of, the two topics, trying to put them together and understand kind of to what degree is you know, I expected you to start with unleashing your power, and you know, I thought that might be a priority, because once you're a strong person, then you can help people around you. So, you know, if you think that your self-esteem is low, you know, is it a good idea to kind of just forget your family life for a short while and just concentrate on yourself?
Okay, you see, I would like to do one day, hopefully, a 2 to 3 hour workshop on self-esteem. It's a kind of self-appraisal, right? That is very, very insightful. Yes, when you attain some success, it makes you feel good. It shows I can do something, right? But what you need to do is to undo the past. When there's been a lot of negativity, if there have been negativity, right? it does not mean you neglect any important, because your family is a critical area of your life. You know, you can't tell, okay, I'm not going to see you much now, I'm developing my self-esteem. It doesn't happen that way, right? It's about engaging your family in a different way, where you assert yourself without being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Where you find the me time, the space for your own development. And I'll give you another example. My dad was very passionate. You know, he used to produce plays and take part in plays. And because he said to me, Idris, you know what? I left school because I had a low self-esteem. I left school. It told me, Idris, you must participate in public speeches. And I said, Daddy, I don't want to do that. You know, it's not me. I don't want to do that. And so the first time I spoke in public, I'll not forget this experience. My father is sitting and smiling at me. I had that look, through you, I'm suffering, you know, through you. And it was the longest speech of my life. But I began, because in life, remember this. It's a bottom line, really. Nobody but you can fight your own demons. You know what keeps you awake at night, right? And we make certain assumptions, and I'm not saying necessarily you. When some people enjoy a modicum of success, whatever way you want to define it, we make assumptions that they had it easy. Often when you listen to them, my gosh, you realize they'll talk about the challenges. Some of them might say to you, there was no food in our home some days. You know what I'm saying to you, right? But how they took ownership, right, of their life, where they begin to live consciously, where they had a chance to develop themselves, they have done that, right? So I do not see the home and your personal thing as a contradiction. I don't see it that way. But what is important, very, very important, is this. Like, you must be prepared to make mistakes. It's fine. There's no harm in making mistakes. But you must learn from your mistakes. These are important things. I learned from my mistakes. For example, there was a time where I needed people to tell me after I spoke what they felt, generally. But nowadays, I'm able to do what I call an audit. You rather do a biopsy rather than an autopsy. You understand? So it's about reflecting on yourself, right? And all of us, I'm not saying all of us need to be public speakers, but you've got to find your passion. You've got to find your niche in your life. You need to understand what it is. And that way it makes a huge difference, you know. Okay.
So how do you go about finding this?
I think the important thing is this. It's about doing many things. Like, I never knew. I think my teachers will be turning in the grave. They know that Edris Khamissa today is a motivational speaker. He goes to many parts of the world, because I was also naughty at school, right? And but I wasn't disrespectful, right? And what happened was this. When I was the headmaster of a school and I resigned, and someone asked me, Idris, what are you going to do? I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do parenting. Because I could see over the 10, 12, 15 years I was at school, I could see the man becoming emasculated. I could see the family as a structure, you know, disintegrating. Then I said, when I realized I'm doing on parenting, I said, I can't do parenting without doing marriage. Often my answers on parenting is based on marriage, you know. Then I said, no, the youth, you know. And in that way, I never thought I'll do these things. But I found it, right? And you might think maybe it was easy for you. I mean, and remember, in life, whatever reasons you give for not doing something, they're not reasons. It's justification and excuses. That's what it's all about. It's all about. It's about you soaking in the experiences. You know, for example, if you and I leave today without reflecting on who you are and saying to yourself, you know what, I think there's something I'm going to try. It helps you in your personal development. We appear to neglect our personal development. We want to be recipients of other people, passive receptacles. We do not say, fine, that I too can make a contribution. And for me, really, you know, Umaira, and I say this, whenever I come to the UK or travel other parts of the world, I often get emotional. I'm in the train. I think, Ya Allah, Jazakumullah, Ya Allah. You know, Jazakumullah. You know, I feel humble, you know, to sit and to talk with passion about things that I believe in. I'm not saying I'm an authority, but I believe in it, things that I've tried. It makes a big difference, you know.